It is time now for Down to the Wire here on Vegas Insider. And there's Spencer Ray. He snuck in. You don't normally see him, but you got a quick sneak of him. It's like Wilson on Home Improvement. But we are ready for tonight's show, and we got a lot going on considering now we're done with week 3 of the NFL, transitioning into week 4. You have the Dolphins and the Bengals coming up on Thursday night, and Cincinnati favored in that game. Cowboys beat the Giants last night to close out week 3, and big college football card as well. We got a lot to get to. Kyle Hunter's going to join us in about 15 minutes or so to talk college football. He's one of the top handicappers at Vegas Insider. He was the money leader last year on Vegas Insider in college football. So we'll talk to Kyle about some of his picks for this week, some of the games he's looking at. And also Dave Sharapan is going to join us coming up in just a moment. And looking forward to talking to him about the weekend that was. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about our handicapper heat check. And we do this every night on the show. I want to alert you about our hot handicappers. And tonight we are going to focus on Will Rogers. And Will Rogers is not related to me. We are not of relation. But Will Rogers, very fine handicapper. And he is an MLB expert, among other things. He's dominating on the dime, a 9-1 record the last 6 days. You can knock it out of the park with Will Rogers' daily MLB package, or sign up for a weekly or monthly subscription. Visit vegasinsider.com/picks or click on Will's promo on the Vegas Insider homepage. That's your handicapper heat check. Stay hot, bettors. All right. Now I have our Major League Baseball best bet, our best side of the night. We won last night with the Pittsburgh Pirates, took them on the run line, and they pulled away from Cincinnati. So it was a good win. And tonight we're going to go with another team that's not going to the playoffs. Let's just be nice about that. I'm going to take the Colorado Rockies this evening, and they're a nice underdog at San Francisco. They just got swept by the Giants at Coors Field, and I always like this, you call it a system, you call it whatever you want. I always liked teams that get swept at home. Then when they face that opponent coming up, I like taking them in that first game just because everyone thinks that, all right, the Giants dominated the Rockies at Coors, and now they're going to just beat them again. Logan Webb defeated German Marquez when they met last week. And Webb was about a 135 favorite. Now he's laying almost $2. And Webb has been up and down recently. Still a good pitcher, but Marquez, he's had some good underdog wins this year on the road. So let's go with the Rockies as our best bet in Major League Baseball of a strikeout prop coming up in just a little bit. All right, let's bring him on. Dave Sharapan, former oddsmaker. And is this even legal what you're wearing? Is this street legal, this Philadelphia Eagles gear? You're a Pittsburgh Steeler fan, a Pittsburgh fan. How would they allow you ever in the city of Pittsburgh again wearing that?
It's a very good question, Kevin. This is the first time in my life I've ever worn any Eagles stuff.
I just don't know why that's the case.
Well, haven't you heard they're the best team in the NFC now? So I had, it's like breaking out the fine china. You got to break out the good stuff when they're rolling like this. So we got the throwback Kelly Green, Randall Cunningham jersey. The green lid with the white bird. Apparently that's the stylized one from my buddy Newbie, who's in Philly that I do the show with. Told me get the one with the white eagle. That's what we're doing. We're coming on the show. Thank you for having me. And people from Pittsburgh or Steeler fans everywhere know that it's nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me, and that's where my heart and roots lie. But in the book, they beat it out of you, Kevin. There's just one team left that they can't touch. It's Penn State. And that's it. Everyone else I've become numb to. I'm glad you had the Pirates yesterday. I did too. Yeah, it's the green works, though. I mean, admit, this Kelly Green is nice.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm surprised you go with the Rich Coat type mesh hat instead. That would have been
Those are coming back, Kev. They're at the store. The guys got them with a mesh back with the vertical words and the emblem in the middle. They're coming back. The kids call them trucker hats. I'm old enough to remember the originals. I had them all. It's ridiculous.
You need the old painter hat. Those were the best ones.
Oh, the head has changed. I can't pull off the painter hat look anymore. Between them and the dad hats, they don't work on my head. So, but it's all coming back. What's old is new again. And the world of merch as well as the sports book. So a painter's hat, man, we're old. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to have to Google that are watching the show. They're like, what are they talking about? Painter's hats.
Well, there's only one person that pulled off the painter hat. His name was Sidney Dean, and he dominated the basketball courts out in Southern California.
He certainly did. That was too easy. That was too easy. Unbelievable reference. You got them all. You always hit me with them. I love it.
All right, let's talk about NFL from this past week. Let's start with the
Yes.
Eagles, considering you're wearing the Eagle gear.
Yes.
And do you buy into this Philadelphia team? Do you think they are for real? Do you think they're a threat in the NFC, or they've just beaten Detroit and Washington, and Kirk Cousins sucks on prime time? That's why they beat Minnesota.
Can all of the above be true? I think all of the above can be true, but the odds will tell you that it's time to believe in them right now. Second choice behind Tampa in the NFC to win the NFC, fourth or fifth choice overall, depending where you shop, to win the Super Bowl. Um, yes, I think it's time to buy. And then you go look this week, and they got a tough game coming up. I mean, Jacksonville just went to the Chargers and thumped the Chargers. Now, whether the Herbert took the shot or not didn't help. He got hit. He wasn't able to do anything, and Jacksonville looks like the favorite in the AFC South. So this will be a good measuring stick for both teams this Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Philly -6.5 seems a little bit high right now, but again, it's only Tuesday.
Well, also it's the Doug Peterson revenge game. You got to remember. So
Oh,
the revenge games, by the way, Dave, are over this year. Carson Wentz, Baker Mayfield. You're not winning those revenge games. They're all losers so far.
absolutely, absolutely. I was going to say it if you didn't. I knew you knew it. I don't know if everyone else knows it. You'll hear it in the content space all week about these revenge games, but no one. They leave out, the good part. They haven't won yet, so I think be cautious. What Philadelphia's doing is running the ball, and Hurts. Have they turned the ball over yet this season? I mean, they have been really good in the red zone, going for it, controlling the clock, doing everything that wins football games in January, only they're doing it in September. I mean, can't argue with what they're doing. It's working. Keep doing it.
Okay, I have the stupid question of the night, if you don't mind.
Please.
Are the Cowboys better off with Cooper Rush at quarterback than Dak Prescott? I mean, they're 2-0 with him, and he's 3-0 in his short career.
Crazy. Peralt and I debated this morning on Bostonian versus the book, and I mean, Jerry came out and said it. He came out and said it. That was one of our segments today. Why did he say that? Does he want Dak to come back? Is Dallas better without him? I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question, but I know that they've won 2 games, one as a big dog at home to Cincinnati, and another game as a dog on the road to the Giants, who hadn't lost a game yet. Look at this line this week. It's -3 or 3.5. I don't think he's coming back this week. That's what that line tells me, because if Dallas is playing at home against Washington with Dak, and we know it, and he's healthy, it's a lot closer to 7. Dallas may be better with Rush right now because they're catering the game plan to him. He's not making bad decisions. He's controlling the clock. It looks like he's throwing it away, not trying to do too much, which Dak does sometimes. I don't know. I mean, I think it's TBD, to be determined.
Is Washington worth a look this week? And I get they're not very good, and they've had a couple bad losses, but Cowboys a dog against the Bengals, beat them. Cowboys a short dog against the Giants, pulled away and beat them. Now all of a sudden Dallas in that dreaded favorite role for the first time this season. Think about that, Dave. Fourth game, they're a favorite for the first time. Washington's looked awful. Is this the look here where the Commanders come out and play well?
Well, I kind of fell for the Commanders last week and thought, well, at home they'll keep it close and possibly win against the Eagles, and couldn't do anything. Dallas's defense looks like, to me, a top 5 unit in the NFL right now, getting pressure against bad offensive lines. What is Washington? A bad offensive line. 9 sacks. They gave up 9 sacks against the Eagles. I think Dallas gets to the quarterback early and often and keeps doing it. Wentz makes mistakes. The only side I would look at right now is Dallas. whether it's Rush or Dak, more so if it's Cooper Rush.
Now, I want to review the weekend, take a
Yep.
look back at some things. Number one, I said to you before, Dave, and I'm right, that you guys don't have tight numbers. Every team's the same. I mean, you have one 0-3 team, and it's the Raiders who could have won the division, or people thought they could be a playoff team, and they're 0-3. All these other, well, Houston's 0-2-1. So let's be fair on that. If everyone's saying there's one winless team, there's one 0-3 team. Houston's also 0-2-1. But when you see the things that have come out the last week or so, the Colts come out and they play well. The Jags have won a few times. The Giants have won a few times. All these new head coaches are doing well. How do you explain what we've seen through the first 3 weeks, all these close games, and really the parity is through the roof? You have 2 3-0 teams and you have 1 0-3 team.
Got this number from ESPN Stats and Info. There's 18 games so far through 3 weeks decided by 3 points or less in the NFL. That's the most in NFL history. You know how you explain this, Kevin? Nobody knows shit. That's how you explain it. It's very hard. I mean, these games are coming down. That last hour on Sunday that's been dubbed the witching hour by either those guys on the red zone, by gambling Twitter. I don't know who said it, but my goodness. Games were swinging back and forth. Covers determined on last second field goals, makes, misses, penalties. What the hell happened in Detroit, Minnesota? Detroit's supposed to win that game. They end up getting the cover, but they don't get the win. People with the Vikings survive. They're survivors, and yet there's no explanation. It's this close. Margin so slim between winning and losing the NFL, more so maybe now than ever. So I don't have the explanation for it. I just know that it's good to be the book in these situations because the rhombuses, the parallelograms, nobody has a clue which way to go, which side's the right side up until the end of the game. In-game betting, I think, is the best move.
What do you think about the Chiefs-Colts game where that number flew up and then the Sharps were on the Colts and then all of a sudden Indianapolis, after 2 bad performances the first 2 weeks as a favorite, now you got them in the dog roll. All of a sudden, they play a little better at home and they end up beating the Chiefs outright.
Not surprising. These teams come back after 2 games on the road and in their home debut of the season. I mean, you've heard the stat. You go 0-3, your season's over. You don't make the playoffs. No team has gone 0-3 and made the playoffs. So now what? You have to win. Now, the Chiefs let them hang around in that game. They did a couple different things. All right, so Spence says 6 teams have made the playoffs. It started 0-3. That's awesome. I was told it was 0. Either way, it's not very often. Not surprised by the Colts result. The way it went down, more surprised than anything because I felt like watching that game and keeping an eye on it, but I could not take my eyes off the Bills and the Dolphins. I was locked into that one really for exclusively the second half mostly. Not surprised they won, just surprised that the Chiefs did not have an answer to continue to score. Scored early, looked like they were going to be in control of the game, and they let them just hang around, like Teddy KGB would say. And Colts ended up winning, saved the season because that division can be had. Jacksonville's leading the division. That doesn't really make me go, oh, okay. Look at the odds to win a division. The Colts are still a significant favorite despite being a game behind Jacksonville. Game and a half because of that tie.
What about your Raiders? I say your Raiders because you live in Las Vegas.
0-3.
They had a shot there with the Titans. They were down that whole game, and they almost came back and tied it. They got the touchdown late, but then Carr couldn't complete the pass in the 2-point conversion. Tennessee needed that win. But the Raiders get the Broncos this week, who are offensively inept, it looks like, with Russell Wilson. Only the 11-10 game on Sunday. You had a 13-12 game with the Mariners and the Royals. You had a 13-12 game and 11-10 game on Sunday in 2 different sports. But what do you think about this Raider team? Obviously, they're in a huge hole now. They lose Sunday. They're pretty much cooked because they get Kansas City the week after that. But can the Raiders somehow get it back together? Would you lay the 2 with them against the Broncos on Sunday?
I don't want to touch this game with a 10-foot pole, Kev. I have no idea what the Raiders are going to do. They had a closed-door meeting after the game with McDaniel and Davis, trying to figure out how to get Devontae the ball more in better situations. how to maybe stop the run, which at least in the first half against the Titans looked like it wasn't going to happen. And then in the second half, made the necessary adjustments. I take away from that, in addition to my Raiders thoughts here in a second, is that the Titans really are not very good and can only play one way. Hand the ball to Derrick Henry, get a lead, and hold on for dear life. Just no weapons. Tannehill's in a bad spot there. No receivers. As far as the Raiders in this division, how in the hell is Denver 2-1? Denver, Russell Wilson to me looks cooked. I said it last year. I still think so. He does not look anything close except on that last drive where he was the old Russ to come down there and beat San Francisco. I think the only side in this game that I would even consider would be the Raiders, but I don't have to play every game. That's one of the benefits of now being on the other side of the counter. In the book, you got to put up a number and you're going to need a side. I think people are going to take Denver in this spot. I really do. I think, and for me, it would only be the Raiders. Now the total's what, 46, pretty much consensus. How does this game play out? Denver can't score, but the Raiders give up a lot of points. The Raiders had the game won against the Cardinals and gave it away. The Raiders were coming back and had an opportunity to tie the Titans. It did not. Raiders first half, maybe that's the way I would look at this, and then see what happens at halftime and go from there. But I hate that game. And there's one team that I won't wear stuff from, Kev, right now. I wore the Ravens because I lost a bet, so I broke that rule. Not wearing the Raiders stuff. Even though I live here, I'm not wearing the Raiders stuff. Not now, not ever.
I mean, you can argue this too. I know the whole coulda, woulda, shoulda. Broncos could be 3-0 too. I mean, if Buddy Hackett doesn't mess that whole thing up at the end of the first game against Seattle, they could be 3-0. And they've looked horrible. They could be 3-0.
Hard to believe, right? I mean, it's that close. You're right. It could be flipped. They could be 3-0. They could be 0-3. I don't know what to make of Denver. I still think the best team in the division is the Chiefs right now. I thought the Chargers were going to be better. Unfortunate injury, and now, they're starting to show themselves again. How many times can you say the Chargers chargered? I mean, they keep doing it, right? The uniforms look great. Herbert looks the part, and then they go and they blow games. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Staley's gun shy, isn't he? After that Chiefs game last year, Thursday night, 4th and 7, let's go for it. 4th and 2, let's go for it. Now it's like, I'm going to back off a little bit. I feel like he got in his head a little bit. Somebody got in his head.
Sometimes it's okay to punt. Like, really. I mean, in life and in football, sometimes it's okay to punt and play defense. And maybe it's in his head. I don't know. But, I mean, they're playing Houston, right, this week. They are it's down to 4.5. Oh, it's down to 4.5. I saw a much bigger number earlier in the week.
They were laying 11 to them last year, and they lost to them in December.
Houston's been competitive. Houston is one of those teams that nobody sees because they're on the 8th TV of 8, if anyone even asks for the game. Otherwise, you double up the main game in the book. Nobody watches them. Lovey's got this tremendous beard, highly underrated, what he's doing there, keeping his team in games. They should have won that game against Chicago. Crucial error at the end, and they lose. I mean, home dogs have been okay so far. Home dog.
That's the Tom McCarthy, Steve Berline game on CBS. I think every week it's like you got the Texans. That's who you got. Hey, really quick before I let you go, give me a baseball play for tonight. What do you like tonight? Is there something you like or you don't? Or
is this the night the Judge hits the homer? That's all I want to know because I keep watching these games. I'm watching him impress, and all these people keep betting it. All right. The game's a pick 'em. I think the game goes under, but you want a game that's like off the radar. I mean, I know you like these off the radar games. Give me Greinke against the Tigers. Give me Greinke as a plus. Who in the hell's watching the Royals? Forget the Chiefs. The Royals in September have been okay. Greinke on the road's been terrible, but Greinke at home's been good. Give me Greinke in September against the AAA lineup of the Tigers.
And the Tigers just swept the White Sox, didn't they? Some heavy dogs this past weekend. Letdown alert.
I mean, you got the Royals coming in. little bit different than playing the White Sox with a chance to eliminate them from the postseason.
Yeah.
Here we go. Greinke.
Dave Sharapan. You can find him at SportsBKConsig on Twitter. Dave, as always, we appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you in October.
That is correct because it's the 27th. Good call, Kevin. See you later, man.
Thank you. That is Dave
All right.
Sharapan, former oddsmaker. Always great to have him and to chat with him. So good to see Dave, as always, get a few thoughts from him on what's going on in the NFL. Yeah, it's trouble time for the Las Vegas Raiders. 0-3. Yes, the Houston Texans are 0-2-1, but the Texans, they threw away that Indianapolis game back in week 1. And they hung with Denver. They hung with Chicago. I mean, they're pretty similar to Chicago, but the Bears ended up winning that game on Sunday. So we'll see if the Texans now against the Chargers coming up this weekend. They beat the Chargers last year at home, and I cannot trust that LA team, especially with Justin Herbert not being 100%. I think that's pretty clear, and what we saw on Sunday against Jacksonville. All right, I want to say about BetMGM. And we love BetMGM here on Down to the Wire. And BetMGM, you could get a great deal right now with BetMGM if you are a new customer. They are the king of sports books. And from now until this Thursday, which is 2 days from now, sign up with BetMGM using the bonus code VIBONUS50, VIBONUS50, and you'll receive $50 free on sign up and a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's VIBONUS50, all one word, no spaces. And your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. All right, now I want to give you my second best bet for the night, and we'll do a prop here. And I'm going to go with Lance Lynn over strikeouts tonight against Minnesota. Now, the White Sox are done, and they just got swept by Detroit, as Dave and I just talked about. But Lance Lynn, though, he has come out with a 3 strikeout effort his last time out. It took him a little bit of time to kind of get going after a slow start, and he was hurt, but he was pitching better. He has not gone over this total against the Twins in 2 starts this year, but he's had some good strikeout totals on the road recently. They're in Minnesota tonight, so I'm going to go with the over. A little bit of juice you gotta chew on, but I'm going to go with the over on Lance Lynn. 6.5 strikeouts tonight as the White Sox face the Twins at Target Field. All right, let's transition to some college football now. We bring on Kyle Hunter, who was the money leader last year in college football, and he's wearing his Utah Utes hat. He loves his Utah Utes, even though it's not his Utah Utes, but he loves the hat. Kyle, it's good to see you again. So this past weekend, 1 or 2 things that really stuck out to you before we look at this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think this weekend in general has been pretty chaotic. I think college football so far this year has been pretty chaotic. We don't really know who that second tier of teams is, right? We have like 3 or 4 teams that are really good. Don't really know who's going to be the second tier that could be contenders yet. And we have some teams that with top 25 matchups this weekend, which should help us out quite a bit. And Kevin, also the hurricane with the weather this weekend, just some massive line movements on these totals. You know, I'm a big totals guy, so I'm watching these line movements and thinking, wow, this is crazy seeing, 10-point line moves.
And we've also seen, Kyle, a few games get moved already. South Carolina State, and also the Florida game. I believe they're playing Sunday this week. So you got some things going on there. I want to go over some games with you now. Let's start in the Big Ten with Illinois and Wisconsin. And Illinois got already 1 loss in the conference to Indiana. Wisconsin just got punched in the face by your Ohio State Buckeyes. So what are your thoughts here? Wisconsin, they're favored against the Fighting Illini.
Yeah, I mean, first, I think that this is a Big Ten battle where both teams want to run the football, right? This is more of an old-style Big Ten game. We see Wisconsin favored by 7 and the total there at 43.5, like you see there at the bottom of the screen at BetMGM. Wisconsin's defense was absolutely roasted last week by Ohio State, and Ohio State is my team, definitely. I like the Utes as a secondary team, but Ohio State's my team. That was Ohio State's A game, and Wisconsin really looked pretty bad against them, but I think there'll be a lot of defenses that look really bad against Ohio State's offense, especially when they're clicking like that. So, nothing about Illinois is going to be like what Ohio State did last week. Having said that, I think that Wisconsin's offense really concerns me because Graham Mertz, I mean, you just cannot trust that guy. If he has to throw quite a few passes, something bad's going to happen after a while, I think. The thing that stood out to me, Kevin, when I was looking at last year's game, the script really got away from Illinois really badly last year. They lost 24-0 against Wisconsin at home. Sitkowski, their quarterback, and Brandon Peters, who I believe was injured during that game, combined for 34 pass attempts, 67 yards out of completion, so less than 2 yards per attempt, just ridiculously bad. And Illinois' running backs had 11 carries. They better not do that again. I don't think we're going to see Bielema's team do that. I think they're going to be very, very run heavy in this game. And I think Wisconsin's going to be very run heavy. I think Chase Brown, a really good running back there from Illinois. Wisconsin's run defense is weaker than a year ago, but I think their stats are kind of skewed now that they played Ohio State. I think they'll do a pretty good job stopping the run here. And both of these teams play slowly, 71st tempo for Illinois and 123rd for Wisconsin. Wisconsin running on almost 2/3 of their plays, and Illinois is going to want to run here. So to me, I like two things about this game. I like the under. I know it's a low number. I think it's low for a good reason here. I think this is one of those games that probably projects to a 21-17 type game. And the second thing I like is Illinois. It was 7.5. It's 7 now. I don't know where this will go. I think it'll probably sit right around 7. If you can grab a 7.5, I like that quite a bit here. I think Illinois is an improving team, and Wisconsin is a team that has enough question marks that with a low total like that, I wouldn't want to be laying too many points.
Let's go to now the team you're wearing on your head, the Utah Utes, and they're facing Oregon State in a Pac-12 battle. And Kyle, Oregon State beat them at home last year as a home dog. And Oregon State hung with USC last week. They couldn't beat the Trojans. They got the money, though. Utah, they blow that Florida game out of the gate. And, I mean, they got to be kicking themselves. They could be 4-0 because they've blown out the last 3 opponents. Now Utah back at home, laying double digits against Oregon State. You wonder if it's going to be a letdown for the Beavers. Obviously, Utah will be motivated with that loss last year. But what do you like in this Utah-Oregon State game?
Yeah, Utah, I mean, that was an awesome opportunity for them at the Swamp. They really should have won that game. The big interception at the end. And then, in general, I thought that they played better than Florida did in that game, but missed out on a great opportunity. Utah just lost their star tight end to an injury. I think that certainly hurts their offense a decent amount, their overall upside. I think Whittingham's an excellent coach. I've said this before, and I probably sound like a broken record to some people, but I think Whittingham is a super good coach. And if you look at long-term, excuse me, if you look at long-term, he's been a really good moneymaker against the spread. So, it's I'm not the only one that thinks that. People that have been betting on them have done very well. So this is a Utah team that isn't that explosive on offense, though. And excuse me, Kevin, let me get a drink here real quick. All right.
Let's do it again.
Sorry, my voice giving out on me here. Let's see if I can do this time. But Utah has played slowly throughout the course of the season, and I think that they will struggle to have explosive plays here because I don't think that's the type of offense that they are. Utah State, or Oregon State, I should say, defense does give up yardage, but the drives usually are kind of slow. They don't give up big plays. I think Utah, when they score here, they probably move slowly down the field. Take their time. They are 112th in tempo in the country. So they're going to move slowly. Oregon State wants to run the football a lot. Chance Nolan, we saw him have several issues last week there against USC. Let's be honest, Oregon State should have won that game against USC. 4 turnovers, and USC is doing this every week. I know, Kevin, that wasn't really the theme of talking about this game, but I mean, USC, how are they going to do this every single game with a +4, +5 turnover margin? This is getting a little bit ridiculous. I think both teams run the ball consistently, play at such a slow pace. Kind of like the under in this one. It has dropped here, so I like it a bit less than when it was 56.5. But I'm kind of liking the under in this one. And Kevin, I'm kind of wondering your thoughts on USC. I mean, are they going to be able to keep up this turnover? What are they, like +14 in turnover margin through this many games? It's insane.
It's pretty crazy. And look, we know that they upgraded with Lincoln Riley and with Caleb Williams. Like, we know that. But again, you had the 3 pick sixes against Rice in that opener. And Oregon State's all right. Stanford's not very good. Let's see them when they play Utah. Let's see them in some other games against some better competition. They don't play Washington, which is interesting. Washington plays UCLA on Friday. They can go 5-0 in the season, and USC avoids them, or avoid them. They don't play each other. But yes, I'll be very curious to see if USC, one of these games, if the turnovers don't go their way, if something happens in crunch time and they lose. But again, they found ways to win. Now, in the American, Kyle, you have SMU, UCF. I got to believe that the conditions will be all right Saturday. This Hurricane Ian is going to hit the Tampa area. Orlando's 2 hours away to the east. So kind of curious to see if that rain is there or not. But with that notwithstanding, I know you're going to talk about that, from a total perspective. But UCF, they have 3 wins so far in the year, lost that game to Louisville. SMU, 2 close losses last 2 weeks, Maryland, and then to their rival TCU. SMU blew them out last year. What do you have here with the Golden Knights and the Mustangs?
Oh, so it looks like this one might be moved as far as the time too. So, this game, I'm hoping that the total gets bet down because I'm hoping that some of these weather unders that are just getting bet down across the board makes this one get to where it is an overplay, because I think that there's going to be enough pace in this game and enough of, explosive plays from the two offenses that this could be an overlook. The fact that this is getting pushed back to Sunday probably hurts, though, because I think most people are going to realize then that the weather will be through. I was kind of hoping that people would knock this one down 3 or 4 points, Kevin, because I thought that this could be one that would be a good over if people were just blindly betting these unders. But which UCF team shows up in this game, I think, is the question. I mean, UCF, is it going to be the one that blew away Florida Atlantic on the road, a good showing? Or is it going to be the one that couldn't score a single point against a bad Louisville defense that whole second half? I mean, that was just an atrocious half from UCF. And also note, last week, Georgia Tech really won that box score against UCF. And that was a Georgia Tech team that has just been terrible. I can't say much about Georgia Tech other than they got their coach fired, obviously. So UCF has been very inconsistent this year. I don't want to trust them laying points. At the same time, you got SMU off a rivalry loss to TCU. The Mustangs are second in the nation in tempo, less than 20 seconds between snaps, so they are really moving. I think that the Mustangs would be the side that I would look toward here. I would want to try to get that 3.5. I do see 3 showing up some places. So if you can get 3.5, I would look toward SMU, thinking that they have a chance here to win outright. Getting over the key field goal is important. And then again, I think the over would be my look here. My number was a little bit higher than this, and I was hoping for a little bit of a push down on the total. But I do wonder if this game getting moved would kind of stop that underplay from happening by a lot of people.
Yeah, so that now a Sunday game. So you got NFL on Sunday, and you got some college football games on Sundays. You got to get a little bit of variety. Now, the final game we'll look at, I guess saving the best for last, Kyle, is NC State and Clemson. And I don't want to call this the ACC championship already, but it feels like the winner of this game will have a nice, road to the ACC title game. Clemson outlasted Wake Forest last week, and they've beaten them 14 straight times. NC State, they knocked off Clemson last year at home, that double overtime thriller. And NC State really hasn't been tested so far. So we'll see now against this Clemson team, kind of back now. It seemed like Clemson last year, Kyle, was down, but yet they were 9-3. That how could it be down and be 9-3? They lost to Georgia in the opener, lost to NC State. So they actually, they're still pretty good under Dabo. But Clemson back at home, revenge game, hosting NC State. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Clemson was bad last year for their standards, and then with I think with the bowl win, they won a 10th game. I mean, that's crazy. That shows the standard has been changed a lot at Clemson. This is a NC State team that was hyped up like crazy in the preseason, right? You heard this as much as I did. NC State is the team that's going to knock off Clemson. NC State season win total over was one of the biggest bets that odds makers were taking over and over again. The sports book saw a lot of that action for sure. So their defense is legit. This is a really good defense for sure. Against the pass, completely shut down. They have some guys that'll be in the NFL soon. Against the run, pretty good as well. The offense has been the problem. So Devin Leary, a quarterback who's been here for a while, doesn't have near as many of the weapons around him that he had there a couple of years ago. And it's really showing. I've been disappointed with their effort on offense so far. It is crazy to me that NC State has just 4 plays of 30 yards or more so far this year. No explosiveness. This is a NC State defense, though, that's 4th in success rate allowed. So, I trust NC State's defense a lot. I don't trust their offense. On the other side, Clemson, their defense didn't look great against Wake Forest. They did come up with a stop when they really needed them to there at the end. But in general, Wake Forest had a lot of success. And on the other side, you had a Clemson offense that has looked bad. DJ quarterback, I'm not going to say his last name because I'll probably butcher it, but DJ quarterback is he turning the corner, or is that just a Wake Forest thing? Because if you go back and look at last year they ran up a big total on Wake Forest as well. So they do the same thing again this year. I want to see them prove it before I really trust them offensively. As far as the total here, this game has just been bet down. I see this one flashing on the board now. Looks like it's getting bet down again. It's as low as 40 some places. I mean, just crazy seeing these line moves. I wouldn't be surprised if this one gets bet down into the 30s. But I also kind of wonder if this is one that the time might get changed, or a day might get changed for when this one's played as well. So keep that in mind here when you're betting this, and your ticket would probably get canceled, and you have to bet it again if that's the case. So I would lean toward taking the points here, thinking this will be a close game. 6.5 at this point. Gosh, I would want to get the 7. The 7 was there earlier, but then the total goes from 46 down to 41.5, even 40.5 or 40, like I said, some places. So this one's really getting hit hard. I'm going to lean toward NC State in this one. I'm really looking forward to this one because this is kind of the show me game for NC State, right? Because they came into this season, like I said, with all that hype. This is their chance to beat the top dog. It could be just a complete sloppy mess there in Clemson. I'll be honest, I kind of enjoy those games where it's just whipping wind and raining. I don't know, Kevin, if you're like me on that, but I enjoy those ugly games where it's just a real battle. If we see that here, I'm really looking forward to it.
It'll be interesting if this one, Kyle, gets moved to Sunday because of the track of the hurricane, and you get NC State Clemson on Sunday opposite the NFL. It's one thing to have other games like, oh, this is not that big of a game, still a college game, but NC State Clemson on a Sunday would be really interesting. Before we let you go, Kyle, you're on a nice streak at Vegas Insider. You can find Kyle's picks at Vegas Insider. Go to the college football by picks page, and you can find Kyle's selections. Kyle, you have some games up. Tell us about your streak and the games you have coming up.
Yeah, 10-1 here the last couple of weeks, 6-0 last weekend, and then a 4-1 this past week. So it's been a really nice run here for me. I was the money leader last year, like you said, in college football. I believe I'm second by just a little bit. I think Vince Akins is just barely in front of me there for this year. And then when it comes to totals, I'm number one this year as well. Totals are my specialty, and I already have 4 totals plays up for this coming weekend. So definitely check those out, guys, because those totals do move throughout the week, and I try to get in front of those, find the best value possible. So you can check those out. They're already up for sale over there at Vegas Insider. Got 4 plays already up, and I'm going to be adding some more throughout the course of the week, Kevin.
All right, that sounds good. Kyle Hunter, you can find him at Kyle Hunter Picks on Twitter. And always a lot of good information, and Kyle breaks things down and fantastic on the totals. And again, with this hurricane rolling through and the bad weather, you got to keep an eye on that. And Kyle definitely is. Kyle, thank you so much. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, that is Kyle Hunter, and excellent college football handicapper. Also very good in college basketball, too, when that comes around. So check out his picks at vegasinsider.com. Now, I want to tell you, since we're speaking about Vegas Insider, you can go to the website, but also you can go to the app. And the app is fantastic. It's free. The app is free, and you can just download it for free, and you get all of this on your phone or on your device. We've got up-to-date, easy-to-navigate odds for every major sport. Also, we have the latest shows, best bet videos and podcasts, props, trends, futures, news, all on the free Vegas Insider app. You can download the Vegas Insider app right now on Apple or Android devices. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. Check it out now. Now, before we head out of here on this Tuesday night, the show is down to the wire, so we need to tell you about Major League Baseball for this evening because it's there. It's the only thing going on tonight. And already a couple games underway. The Reds and Pirates, they've started. The Rays, I guess they got lucky. They got out of town. I mean, hopefully things work out in that Tampa Bay, St. Pete area there with Hurricane Ian clamping down in the next day or so. But the Rays got out of town. They're in Cleveland tonight. Really good pitching matchup. Corey Kluber and Shane Bieber. That one's scoreless in the second. But you got a lot of heavy favorites tonight. The Braves laying $2 at Washington. The Mets laying $2 against the Marlins. Also, The Angels laying $2 against the A's, which is a little insane considering the Angels are not very good. Seattle's a $2 favorite against Texas. The Astros, 210, 220 against the Diamondbacks tonight after the Astros just faced the Orioles this past weekend. But Arizona's been playing better. And White Sox laying 120 to the Twins. Blue Jays and Yankees starting in a little bit, and that's basically a pick 'em right now. Talion and Barrios on the mound. Cardinals, Brewers, and Milwaukee. St. Louis, a 120 favorite, total of 8.5. You have Dodgers, Padres out in San Diego. Blake Snell has owned the Dodgers. And going back to even the days with the Rays, I mean, maybe not all wins, but he pitches well when he faces them. And Snell, about a 110 favorite, total of 7.5. So, got some key matchups there tonight in Major League Baseball to check out. And before you get back to football in just a few days, you have Dolphins Bengals Thursday night in Cincinnati. And I'll be back on Thursday night. Joe Madden's in tomorrow night, and she'll be in. She's in every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Down to the Wire. So tune in for Joe. I'm back on Thursday, and we'll have Patrick Everson on to give us the latest line moves, where the money's going on the Dolphins-Bengals game, as well as what else is going on in week 4 of the NFL, maybe some college football as well. And also, we're going to have a handicapper on coming up Thursday. That is to be determined, but we'll let you know for Thursday. And tune in to Joe Osborne tomorrow, Chasing That Paper at 11 a.m. on our YouTube channel on Vegas Insider TV. And you can find that out. You can find out all his picks for baseball. And looking forward to the NFL card as well. I am Kevin Rogers. My thanks to Dave Sharapan and Kyle Hunter for joining us. Spencer Ray running the show as well. And again, we'll talk to you. I'll talk to you Thursday. Tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. for Joe Madden for the midweek show. But we'll talk to you again soon. And as always, best of luck with your bets.